white crystalline stuff. Oh. Hello, good morning, Facebook. How are you? We are good. We are so glad to be here and
Yes.
talk some more, aren't we, Dawn?
We've been sending out emails to folks and letting people know what we're doing. So as it relates to preparing for making the big jump, right?
Big leap.
And I think what's really important in the big leap part is that people recognize that we believe in what you want to do, right? We believe that if you believe in it, you can make it happen. But what we have found is we want people to be able to be prepared, like take an inventory of what you know how to do, what you don't know how to do, what you hate doing. And then also start to look at the things that I hadn't thought about that. Because when people make these big jumps, they often get frustrated because they just figured that people would magically show up to buy their product or service. And sometimes that happens. But for the most part, we have things that we have to do to make sure that we actually get the business rolling the way we had planned. So.
Yeah. You know, there's that concept, if you build it, they will come, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of preparation and road work and strategy and tactics that go into that first.
Right. Mm-hmm. So Liz, I just want to check on one thing. I think we need to record it in Zoom as well as record it on Facebook. So I'm going to hit the record button here.
Okay.
There we go.
I always crack up that it sends me a message that on top of telling me the recording is in progress.
Well, you know, that's an interesting thing about things to know and skills, right? It's when you think of, we now just take it for granted that kind of things kind of show up when we want to record something in Zoom, but we can't always assume that people want to be recorded. And if people don't want to be recorded, so if you're creating a business and you want to be able to take notes while you're talking to potential clients or while you're talking to potential suppliers or vendors, you got to ask first to make sure you can record them. Yeah, that was one of those things that I didn't, it was in the what I don't know that I don't know world. Right?
I love that. Can you tell people a little bit about that? I think that's something that we realize there's things that we don't know how to do, but we don't always realize we don't know what we don't know.
Right. Right. Well, and there's a lot of things that will show up, especially if you work in corporate America. There are things that you don't have to think about.
It's true.
And somebody's doing it in the background, right? Somebody else is getting things done. And then when you go to do it for yourself, it's like, oh, I didn't know how to do that. And I didn't even know to think about it. I remember when my sister, she's a massage therapist. Oh, she's an amazing, amazing massage therapist. If you ever need one and you're in the Cincinnati area, let me know. Anyway, she, if you talk to one group of people, they would say she didn't need to pay taxes because of the kind of service that she provided, because a lot of psychiatrists, a lot of the medical field doesn't have to charge taxes. So she didn't charge tax for the first year. And then she found out that she falls into that category, but in a subcategory that does have to charge taxes. It was in the I don't know what I don't know world. And so you have to always be open to the idea of exploring things. Don't assume that your the knowledge that you have is sufficient to get you moving forward fully. And so one of the things we love to do is to help people think about what they don't know that they don't know. Part of it is skills-based. What are the skills? What are the services? What are the things that I need to be successful? But then there's also the insights. You know, those times when you're out, you're walking the dog, you've been dealing with something and you go, oh, now I know how to do that. I hadn't thought, okay. Those are also insights and aha moments, things you didn't know that you didn't know. And all of a sudden you have a solution, or you can see what the problem might be in a whole new light. So one of the things we like to do is work with people on identifying, what do you know? What do you don't know? And the things that you don't know are things that you could go out and learn. Like you've got a list. Like, I don't know how to be a brain surgeon, but if I really wanted to, I could go to school and become a brain surgeon, and I pop that into what I know. But then there's that bunch of stuff I never even think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Did
there's a
that,
whole category that's actually pretty vast that we don't know, that we have no idea that even exists or is out there.
Mhm. Which
Yeah.
is why it's important to have a coach when you're thinking about making the big jump.
Right.
You know, motivation, excitement, commitment are all important. But then
Yeah.
you have to go from the 50,000-foot level to foot 1, foot 2, right, left,
Right.
left, right, left. It's a big change, big difference between right, left, and being up in the dream area. So,
Yeah.
coach,
And you know, what's really interesting, Dawn and I talk about this a lot. When you're in the corporate world and you have an idea and you're bringing it into fruition, you know, it kind of appears like it's a straight line because there's so many people helping you. You might be
mhm,
part of the ideation, you might be part of the marketing team, but then there's also the strategy team, the operations team. Everybody has their role, and there's lots of feet on the ground helping you implement this new idea, this new product, this
right,
new whatever it is. So it appears like it's a straight line, even though each one of the departments might have their own struggles with regards to getting to the point of implementation. Well, when it's you and you're looking to implement this idea, you know, it doesn't always appear like a straight line and can often appear chaotic. And that's why a roadmap is extremely important, because then you always know where you're going.
right. Roadmaps are critical. And you can have a roadmap of your skills.
Yeah.
There's like soft skills. So today we're going to talk about skills, right? It's about soft skills and hard skills. So there's the soft skills that you can map out. What am I good at and what am I not good at and what do I hate? And then there's the hard skills. So Liz, what are some of the soft skills that you realized that you were good at when you launched as a coach and in Shimula? What are some of the things that you really loved to do? Soft
So,
skills.
soft skills wise, I relate to people really well. And as a nurturer, I can often anticipate some of their needs and help guide them to a place of self awareness, you know, so they're more motivated and to kind of go through a process of shifting or changing. I would say those were some of the soft skills that came to light when I first launched some of this coaching that I did. Yeah.
Okay. And you like working with people, right? You like to get on
I
the phone.
love working with people. You know, the one thing that I definitely know how to do, and I didn't quite know how this came came out, but I create a sense of belonging. You know, whether it's belonging with yourself or with another person, and that way people feel comfortable, safe, and they can go into a place of exploration and
Mhm.
curiosity because they feel very safe, because they feel like they belong where they are.
All right.
So yeah, and you know, I didn't know I really had that skill and that skill set, and it allowed people to really be open and honest with themselves so that they can create a launching pad of what it is that they're looking to create, and what is it
Got
they
it.
like to do, what is it they hate to do, you know. And oftentimes we think we have a skill set because we have done it in the past in the corporate world. But then when you go to actually do it by yourself without a whole support team, it's like, oh, crash, burn, wall, right?
Right.
We've all hit those walls and we're like,
We've
I know
all
how
hit
to
those
do this.
walls. Yep.
No,
We've
no,
all
I
hit those
don't.
walls. Hey,
Yeah.
look, hang on for a second, Liz. I noticed that we are on the wrong page in
Mm.
Facebook. We have one person watching. I don't know who that is, but I realized that we are in my personal page and not in my what you call page, my business page. So I'm trying to figure out, this is all technology, figuring out how do I do it to the right spot. So
And
I'm
this
gonna
falls in the
have
category of
a
things you,
streaming link and I'm gonna go over to this other Facebook page and say, join us over here. Keep talking, Liz. All right.
that's all right. This is
Soft
in that
skills.
category
Oh
with
my
regards
God,
to
these are
things
technology
I
skills.
know I don't know, right? You know, when it comes to um, technology, that's definitely a category. You know, I thought I was pretty smart when it came to technology. Now my kids can run circles around me, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, and they are my IT help desk, but there are times where I need something that is a little bit more professional than what my kids can do for me. But technology is one of those things that is, I know I don't know how to build websites. I know I don't know how to create an infrastructure of IT where all my different devices communicate and talk to each other. Right?
Mhm.
It's important to make sure that I ask for help in these areas.
Right, right. For me, I love learning about these different technologies, but I tend to overthink it. I want to,
Mm,
I want to make sure that, how do I let it be an expression of myself, which tends to be a little bit more fun, exciting. There may be few cuss words here and there, and still have it be like this be professional to attract the right person. And how many words do you put on an Instagram thing, and keep it exciting? And is that attracting a woman that's 50 or a girl that's 35? When my daughter look at it, who's 20, there's just so much. Even if technologically I can figure it out,
yeah.
then there's the soft skill side of understanding, what do I say without
Yeah.
without having my own worries and concerns about what I'm saying, right? That confidence that we have, which then stops us from doing the marketing. Because in today's day and age, you have to cut through, we have to be able to cut through the Facebook morass and the LinkedIn morass and the Instagram morass so that people can find us. So it's a technology skill and a soft skill.
Yep.
How much risk are you willing to take to try to cut through to sound different from the competition?
And it's so interesting. I can go back through my life and scan and say, oh my gosh, I danced ballet, I danced in a ballet company, I was on stage a lot. So that on stage presence was like very real to me. But the one
Mhm.
thing I couldn't do necessarily was speak on stage. So here we are in front of a computer, Dawn, and I feel like I'm just talking to you. And it's hard to watch yourself and speak to an audience and speak to you, and then also know that there are people that might be watching this later. So that's one of those is this a hard skill, is this a soft skill? I don't know, but it's I'm one of those people that I like to be really present and authentic in my words and choice of words, but when I'm
Mhm.
busy watching how I look on camera, I can't do it.
Right,
I just can't do it. And I thought
right.
I could, and I could remove myself from the situation, but it's one of those skills. I just have to hide myself and pretend like I'm only talking to you. And how
Well,
many other people are behind this watching it later?
right. But that's a very interesting conversation to think about, right? It is part hard skill. Can we get the Zoom up and running? Can we get Facebook up and running? Is it on the right page? How do you manage the chat? How do you respond to people? How often do you respond to people? Because here's the thing, when we work with you, we are not an expert in your product. So if you're a
Mm-mm.
financial advisor and you're trying to expand your reach to clients, or if you're a lawyer, or if you are um, an artist of some sort and you're in our groups, we're not going to tell you how to do your art better or how to be a lawyer or how to be an advisor, but we can help you think through a lot of things that you hadn't thought about. So we don't we work with you to make sure you understand there's a market for your product. We have a lot of ways to work with you on that. But at the end of the day, you still have to promote yourself. You have to have a
Yes.
story about yourself, and you have to be willing to go out there in the marketplace and talk about who you are and what you are, right? And so that's part of this whole thing is, all right, do you go every day on Zoom? Do you not go every day on Zoom? How many weeks until you know if it's successful or not successful? There's a lot of really, so you start to get at the emotional, it's not an emotional skill, but it is an
Emotional
emotional
buying cycle is what.
value. Go ahead.
Mhm.
It's
It's an
what?
emotional buying cycle. So when a client comes to you and wants a product or a service, they're going through an emotional process of saying, is this the thing that's going to get me to where I want to go?
Mhm.
I have this problem. I want it solved. Am I motivated to get it solved? Do I want a quick fix? Or do I want to take the journey? And it really depends on the product or the service that you're offering and whether or not they believe it's going to get them to the other side and through that gap, whatever that gap is, right?
Mhm. Right, right.
So,
But it's about what I'm speaking to, and I think
mm,
you're alluding to it, is to get them into that cycle. You have to, there's a lot of things you have to be able to do to get them into the cycle. First, they have to be
correct.
aware of who you are, and they have to trust you, they have to like you, and then they have to see that your solution will work for them. And
Correct.
when you are, if you're fumbling around and on technology, or you're not sure what you want to say in your marketing in the social media space, if you're not authentic, if you're not true to yourself, people will be able to see right through that. So that's why when Liz and I say, okay, boy, I made a mistake here, let me see what I can figure out, people get, hopefully they get the authenticity of it, because we all are struggling with ways to get things done in this new world order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Hmm.
So Liz, what are some of the other soft skills that either you really love or that maybe you don't love so much?
Oh gosh, it's really interesting for a person who has, facilitated and coached on sales training, right? I love relationship building and I love helping people solve their problems. But I forgot because it's been 15 years before I went out on my own, where I was to ask for the actual sales or for the business. And I found myself almost choking in my throat asking for the business. And I was like, okay. And the two things that I kind of saw out there that like here's a problem and a solution, right? And you have to let people like, talk about the problems and their solutions. You got to be in love with the problem that people are facing as well, because if you're going to help them fix it, you got to be able to be in the problem. Yet at the same time, people don't buy because there's a problem. They buy because of the hope of a solution, right?
Right.
And that was a thing that I was like, oh yeah, right? That's what we're doing, is the hope and the solution, and knowing that you can get people to the other side and get them through that process. So that was the thing that was interesting in the soft skill I had forgotten was, the end of that sales process. I had forgotten all about that. And the other thing I kind of forgotten about was time management. And I don't know if that's a soft skill, if that's a hard skill, but time management is one of those things that can be when you work for yourself. And it's not just time management, it's energy management. So you have so much energy in a day and you want to make sure you get the big rocks taken care of and you get food on the table.
Right.
But when you're working for a corporation, if you let one of the big rocks not occur that day, you have the next day. But when it's you producing the revenue and everything else, you got to make sure that you put the big rocks in their proper positioning.
Right.
Because a paycheck is not automatic.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's so it looks like we've got some folks that might be online. And if you are, go ahead and put some questions in the chat about what are you thinking about with regarding the Great Resignation? Are you thinking about doing it? Do you know some people? What are the struggles? What do you need? What do you want to know? And we're going to be bringing different resources
Hmm.
onto our chats over the next few weeks at 11 o'clock Eastern time. But I think that when you think about time management, Liz, that is a thing. So first, I think you are the one who often says we can get more, we think we can get more done in a day than we can.
Hmm.
So like we overschedule in a day and we underschedule in terms of our 5-year commitments. Like we can get way
Correct.
more done in 5 years than we thought, but boy, today things just always take longer unless you are a master at managing your time. And
Yep.
so there's the emotional side of managing your time. Are you willing to live by your calendar? So a lot of times people think about their calendar. So the calendar itself is a hard skill,
Right.
right? But some people, they feel like they're chained to a calendar then, like, oh, I've got to live by everything that's in my calendar. And, I started putting in my calendar, instead of, call Liz at 8:30 in the morning. It says what the outcome is. Liz and I create an amazing day, and we figure out what's next for Shimula, which is way more exciting than, okay, 8:30 in the morning again, time to talk to Liz. What are we going to talk about today? Not that, and Liz, I love talking to you every day. It's a really good thing that we do. But, we put activities often into our calendar. So then it feels like those things take forever, instead of what are you trying to produce in that time span?
Exactly. If you say make 5 phone calls, oh, that sounds like a chore. Whereas connect and follow up and make sure that this program works for this person.
Right. We were talking the other day with some folks in one of our classes about making posts, Facebook and Instagram posts and LinkedIn posts, and everybody feels so overwhelmed about that. Like, how many should you do, and got to do them just right, and especially if you're only supposed to do 1 a day, or do you do 3 a day, and all that stuff, right? But instead of saying I'm going to do 5 posts, what if we suggest, what if you go out and just get 5 pictures? And then you can build posts. Well, it's still the same. It's part of the same activities, but it was more exciting when they thought about, oh, let me go find 5 pictures, because then I'll know what I want to do. But when it was having to write the entire post, this kind of Swiss cheese method or chunking it up method is always more exciting. Yeah. Or at least seems doable for people. So that's kind of the soft skill and the hard skill together.
And that goes back to, we expect our business to grow like this. Right. Yeah. And it's kind of like this. And it's so interesting. And that's exactly right. You're like, okay, 5 posts. And then I've sat at the computer and said, okay, I've got to get my 5 posts for the week written so I can just copy and paste it into the different social media sites. And I've sat there staring at the computer screen. And I'm like, this is so not productive, right? And for a creative and a romantic, somebody, I love to enjoy life. Life is to be experienced. Sitting at a computer and staring at a screen can be quite painful for a romantic if the romantic is the one making the decisions at that point in time. I'd be much better off taking that time and doing something more creative, right? When the romantic is like, I want some expression time.
Right.
So knowing the activities that I want to be accomplished in a day for me has helped me with regards to balancing out some of those soft skills.
Well, and I think that, if we don't have it in the calendar, we're not reliable for getting it done. Right? If you don't put it in the calendar, there's no commitment around it. I mean, it's not that you won't get it done, but it'll be more like luck that you'll get it done. If you and I don't have in the calendar, it's in our calendar, everybody, Monday through Friday, Liz and I, our Zoom link is in there, 8:30 every day, right? So I get on Zoom every Monday through Friday at 8:30 because it lives in the calendar. And especially as you start to build your business, no matter how big your business is now or how big you want it to be, you don't want to drop customer calls. You don't want to drop, if you say, I'm going to, let me call you back on Tuesday, you better put it in your calendar that you're going to put it in on Tuesday. But you want to, that's where writing down an outcome is so important, right, Liz? You put, call Liz back on Tuesday at 2:00 to finish discussing that post that she was having trouble with. Yeah. So that you don't have to think about it. And if there's work you need to do to be ready for that call on Tuesday, you have to put in your calendar on Monday or on the Friday before, work on that post that Liz was having trouble with, so you'll be ready for her on Tuesday at 2:00. Right? We often don't do the pre-work in our calendar and then manage for the follow-up, right? Or what we call the you call the fallout, right? You have the meeting and then now all of a sudden there's 3 more meetings. Oh, now what? And I write it down somewhere and I promise I'm going to put it in my calendar. And then somebody says, "Hey, I thought we were meeting." And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, right, I didn't put it in my calendar. So this is where it becomes not about you, right? Time management really becomes about your clients and about your
Right.
vendors, and your suppliers, and your reputation,
And your
right?
integrity, right?
Ooh, integrity.
So one of the best things we heard from one of our clients, you know, and I always leave some space to kind of like to bring in anything that is not complete, that needs a completion process. But one of our clients talks about how she schedules Monday through Thursday and she leaves Friday completely open to wrap up anything that needs to be tidied up for the week, because things get away from you that, you know what used to take me 10-15 minutes sometimes now takes me 30 minutes.
Mhm.
And it's nothing other than, oh, I was just doing one thing and now I have to pivot to this. And it takes a couple of minutes to pivot, whether it's writing, whether it's getting creative, whether it's talking with a client, whether it's talking with a vendor, whatever it is, you need pivot time.
Right, right.
And then that adds up throughout the day. And
Mhm.
then that's where Fridays come in.
Oh,
Because
no, I think
Mhm.
it's a really good thing. And making sure you clean up your desk before you leave the office so that you come in with a clean slate if that's important for you. Otherwise, you're going to have to spend like 15 minutes in the morning getting yourself reorganized. I think there's a when you said integrity, and I kind of I was thinking, so we talk a lot about integrity, but not from a moral point of view. We talk about it from a workability point of view. If you think about a bicycle wheel and all the spokes, and if you can let the air go a little low on the tire, you can still ride it for a while. If one of the spokes bends, you can still probably ride it for a little while. But if you keep letting the spokes bend and the air continue to reduce, you're going to stop moving, and you could actually, bust the rim and be completely out of a bicycle for a while till you get a new rim. So it's about workability. So people who are up to stuff things are going to drop out. When you have a lot going on, you're making lots of promises and lots of commitments, and it's just important to communicate. Oh, I thought I was going to be able to meet with you at 1. Can we push it to 1:15, or can we move it to Friday? Be in communication is such an important part. And that is a soft skill that is not
So important.
common. It is
No, it's not
not
common.
right.
One of my favorite questions is, what does the yes you no longer mean? Sometimes we overcommit to things, but as long as you have a sense of clarity of what's the most important, it's okay to go back to people and say, I know I said yes to this, it's really important, but I can't give it the time and attention that's needed. And I want to let you know as soon as possible. Right.
Right.
And it is 11:28. So,
Oh my gosh.
I know time flies.
Well, just for those of you who are watching now, or for those of you who will see this later, we just want to always remind you, we talk about these things and I'm like, okay, now what? What you've been talking about the Great Resignation. Now, what do I do if I have more questions? So there's a lot of different things. You can go to our website, which is www.shimula.com, which I've put into the chat. We have some classes there. You can set up a call with us to learn more. We do a call is free, right? We talk, see what you might need. We have lots of resources. It could be one of our programs, one of our coaching opportunities, or it could be we need to put you in touch with somebody else who has a skill that you might be missing. But we have this really fabulous program right now going on, which is called the Money Master Plan Mastermind, which is a mastermind. So you have other women in your community. It's a 12-week program, do-it-yourself classes where you create your 5-year strategy, your 1-year set of tactics. You get clear on what you know how to do and what you don't know how to do. And you get to understand your money personality and how that is helping you or hindering you. And we do a lot of brain and mindset work in that process. And you can do that online, and that's $499. Or you can join this community where we meet on a weekly basis for 90 minutes. It's not mandatory, but it's like having your own set of cheerleaders people who will chat with you about, your business idea or where you're having a problem. We all coach each other, and it's an amazing opportunity. And people really get their business off to the next level when they participate in that program. And so we offer payment plans for that. And that course is $19.97 and give a money back guarantee. It's one of the most amazing programs that we offer.
Yeah.
So anyway, it is 11:30. It's time to go. Tomorrow, Andrea Bednar will be with us from AndreaBednar.com. Andrea and I have worked together for years. She's an executive coach, and she's going to talk to us about resistance to change. You have had these ideas and I got to go do this. I really want to go do this. Whether it's I'm going to run a marathon, I want to lose weight, I want to start a business, I want to create a side hustle, whatever it might be, I'm going to do it. Your brain's all geared up, and still we don't take that step. And she coaches a lot of executives who just haven't taken that step. And she really understands that process. So she's going to share about that with us tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock, Friday, November 5th, on Facebook, on Dawn Winterhalter Park's Facebook fan page, not my personal page. Anyway, anything you want to say in closing, Liz?
I love Andrea. So make sure you join Dawn and Andrea tomorrow. I will not be here, but it's bound to be a fantastic conversation. So reach out to us. We are here for you. We'd love to hear what you're up to.
Great. Thanks, Liz. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
This is that technology piece. Stop.